One World War II machine gun fired 1,200 rounds a minute. Troops called it Hitler's buzz saw, but firepower alone did not decide which guns were truly the deadliest. Some designs were so flawed, they got their own crews killed. The Breda Modello 30 promised to give Italian infantry squads a modern edge, but its flaws became deadly liabilities in combat. Every reload meant removing the fixed 20-round magazine, a process that left gunners exposed and broke the rhythm of suppressive fire. In the deserts of Libya and Egypt, the Breda's oil-lubricated cartridges turned into dust magnets, jamming the action just when incoming fire demanded a quick response. With a practical rate of only 150 rounds per minute, Italian crews found themselves outgunned and scrambling to clear stoppages. On paper, the Breda looked serviceable. On the battlefield, it was a disaster, earning its place at the very bottom of any ranking of World War II machine guns. Japanese engineers set out to solve the problem of squad firepower with the Type 11 Nambu, a machine gun packed with clever ideas that quickly turned against its own crew. Instead of a box or belt, the Type 11 used a hopper that took 5-round stripper clips, the same clips used in standard infantry rifles, which made reloading seem simple at first glance. But this open hopper was a magnet for dust and mud, especially in the fields of China and Manchuria, where swirling grit clogged the feed and brought the gun to a standstill. To help the action run smoothly, an automatic oiler coated each round with a thin layer of oil. In practice, this just made things worse, as the oiled cartridges picked up even more dirt, turning jams from a nuisance into a constant threat. Japanese troops found themselves cleaning and coaxing the gun far more often than firing it, and after too many breakdowns under fire, the Army moved on to the more reliable Type 96. The Type 11's legacy is a warning. Sometimes complicated solutions create bigger problems than they solve. The Browning M1919A4 stands out as the American workhorse, a .30 caliber machine gun that powered U.S. infantry, vehicles, and aircraft through every major campaign. With over 1 million produced in various forms, its belt-fed design made it adaptable for almost any role, whether dug in on a Pacific beach or bolted to a half-track rumbling through France. In the steamy jungles of the Pacific, though, the M1919A4 faced a stubborn enemy: humidity. Cloth-linked ammunition belts soaked up moisture, swelling until they jammed the feed and threatened to silence the gun at the worst moments. Manuals warned crews to keep belts dry, and Marines quickly learned to lacquer their belts or improvise drainage to keep the gun firing. These field fixes didn't erase the problem, but they kept the M1919A4 in the fight. Reliable, flexible, and produced on a massive scale, it was a trusted companion, just never completely free from the limits of its own design. On the frozen fields outside Moscow, the DP-28 earned its reputation as the Soviet winter gun. Its broad, 47-round pan magazine sat like a shield on top, feeding a steady stream of 7.62mm rounds at about 550 per minute. Crews learned to trust its stubborn reliability, even as the metal bit at bare fingers and the cold warped the pan's fragile rim. Production topped 1.2 million, a testament to its role as the backbone of Red Army squads. During the defense of Moscow, Soviet women machine gunners, including those like Lyubov Ivanovna Lyubchik, fought through sub-zero nights, warming the bolt with their breath, just to keep the DP-28 firing. The gun's ruggedness was legendary, but each pan held only 47 rounds, enough for a brief burst before another reload, forcing gunners to work fast and hope the next magazine had not frozen shut. The DP-28 did not win praise for elegance. It won battles by refusing to quit, even when the world froze solid around it. The MG-34 arrived as a revelation, a single machine gun that could serve almost any purpose, from mowing down advancing infantry on a bipod to anchoring a defensive line from a heavy tripod, or roaring from the turret of a Panzer. German engineers crafted it with painstaking precision, each part machined for tight tolerances and smooth action. In the early Blitzkrieg campaigns across Poland and France, MG-34 teams delivered accurate, sustained fire that outclassed anything their opponents could field. Its flexibility let German units adapt on the fly, shifting from offense to defense without changing weapons. But that same pursuit of perfection came at a cost. Mud and grit, so common on the Eastern Front, wormed their way into the finely fitted internals, turning reliability into a gamble when conditions turned ugly. Production lines struggled to keep up. Each MG34 took hours to finish, with skilled labor in short supply as the war dragged on. The result was a weapon admired for its brilliance, but too demanding for the chaos of total war. Germany's answer was the simpler, cheaper MG42, leaving the MG34 as a symbol of what happens when engineering excellence outruns practicality. When the shooting started and everything else failed, British and Commonwealth infantry reached for the Bren. With its top-mounted 30-round magazine and a weight just under 10 kilograms, the Bren was light enough to carry through the mud of Normandy, the jungles of Burma, the deserts of North Africa, and the battered ridges at Kohima. Crews valued its calm, accurate bursts. Each squeeze of the trigger sent a controlled string of .303 rounds exactly where they were needed, wasting nothing. Veterans praised the Bren's legendary reliability, recalling how it fired through rain, dust, and chaos when other guns faltered. More than just a weapon, it became a symbol of confidence under fire. Troops trusted it to hold the line, and that trust turned the Bren into a morale booster as much as a tool of war. The Browning M2 stands in a class of its own, a heavy machine gun built not just for squads, but for the entire battlefield. Chambered in .50 caliber BMG, its rounds could tear through aircraft, vehicles, and fortified positions with a single burst. Nearly 2 million M2s rolled off American assembly lines during the war, arming everything from Sherman tanks to B-17 bombers and PT boats prowling the Pacific. Its water-cooled barrel and rock-solid mechanism let crews fire for minutes on end, holding off enemy attacks or shredding low-flying planes. The M2's reputation for durability grew with every campaign, and decades later, it is still a staple of armies around the world. No other heavy machine gun of World War II matched its reach or staying power, making it the backbone of Allied firepower wherever the fighting raged. The MG42 stands alone at the top of the ranking, a weapon that fused raw power, reliability, and production genius into a single battlefield force. Firing at a blistering 1,200 to 1,500 rounds per minute, its signature buzzsaw roar sent shockwaves through Allied lines from Normandy's hedgerows to the frozen fields of the Eastern Front. German gunners could swap out a red-hot barrel in about 6 seconds, keeping up a storm of fire, while others scrambled to reload or clear jams. Stamped steel parts meant the MG42 rolled off assembly lines by the hundreds of thousands, sidestepping the bottlenecks that slowed its rivals. Its psychological impact was legendary. Allied troops learned to fear the weapon by its sound alone. No other machine gun of the war delivered such a complete balance of firepower, sustained use, reliability under pressure, and mass producibility. The MG42 was not just the deadliest, it was the most complete machine gun of World War II. Decades later, the lessons of these weapons still shape every battlefield. Modern armies obsess over reliability, not raw firepower. The true edge remains in what soldiers trust and what they can survive with. Subscribe to World War's Files,